So I've been telling people that the mainstream news media and all the Democrats, establishment Democrats, are missing what's really happening with Trump, right? It's racist, just like what they said about Brexit. Oh, it's just a bunch of racists, because that makes them feel better, and they don't have to confront their horrible neoliberal economic policies, which is screwing over the world. Capitalism worldwide is failing. This form of capitalism, which is predatory capitalism, which is run by the banks. This is failing, and that's why half the people in our country are poor. In the richest country the face of the earth has ever seen, in booming economic times. Corporations, record profits, Wall Street record numbers. Half the country poor. Why do you think Brexit happened? Oh, they're so racists. No, because the people in England have been having austerity shoved down their throats ever since the bankers crashed their economy. And they've been taking it out of the hides of working people. Just like when our economy crashed, they screwed over the teachers immediately. I knew it was the teachers. Oh, it was too many poor people who bought houses they couldn't afford. I knew it was somebody with no money and no power. And so when they had a chance to stick the thumb in the eye of the powerful in England, they did. And they did Brexit. And right now, Americans are going with Trump because Trump is saying shit to the elite that no one else will say in defense of workers who have been screwed over by Democrats and Republicans. Here's Michael Moore. You want to hear Michael Moore? He was in Ohio, and he gave this speech. It's about 3 minutes long. Let's listen.
Because I know a lot of people in Michigan that are planning to vote for Trump, and they don't necessarily like him that much, and they don't necessarily agree with him. They're not racist and rednecks, they're actually pretty decent people. And so I wanted to sort of, after talking to a number of them, I wanted to write this. Donald Trump came to the Detroit Economic Club and stood there in front of the Ford Motor executives and said, if you close these factories as you're planning to do in Detroit and build them in Mexico, I'm going to put a 35% tariff on those cars when you send them back, and nobody's going to buy them. It was an amazing thing to see. No politician, Republican or Democrat, had ever said anything like that to these executives. And it was music to the ears of people in Michigan and Ohio and Pennsylvania in Wisconsin, the Brexit states. You live here in Ohio, you know what I'm talking about. Whether Trump means it or not is kind of irrelevant, because he's saying the things to people who are hurting. And it's why every beaten down, nameless, forgotten working stiff who used to be part of what was called the middle class loves Trump. He is the human Molotov cocktail that they've been waiting for. The human hand grenade that they can legally throw into the system that stole their lives from them. And on November 8th, Election Day, although they lost their jobs, although they've been foreclosed on by the bank, next came the divorce, and now the wife and kids are gone, the car's been repoed, they haven't had a real vacation in years, they're stuck with the shitty Obamacare bronze plan where you can't even get a fucking Percocet. They've essentially lost everything they had, except one thing. The one thing that doesn't cost them a cent and is guaranteed to them by the American Constitution: the right to vote. They might be penniless, they might be homeless, they might be fucked over and fucked up. It doesn't matter, because it's equalized on that day. A millionaire has the same number of votes as the person without a job. One. And there's more of the former middle class than there are in the millionaire class. So on November 8th, the dispossessed will walk into the voting booth, be handed a ballot, close the curtain, and take that lever, or felt pen or touchscreen, and put a big fucking X in the box by the name of the man who has threatened to upend and overturn the very system that has ruined their lives. Donald J. Trump. They see that the elites who ruined their lives hate Trump. Corporate America hates Trump. Wall Street hates Trump. The career politicians hate Trump. The media hates Trump after they loved him and created him and now hate him. Thank you, media. The enemy of my enemy is who I'm voting for on November 8th. Huh. Yes, on November 8th, you, Joe Blow, Steve Blow, Bob Blow, Billy Bob Blow, all the blows get to go and blow up the whole goddamn system because it's your right. Trump's election is going to be the biggest fuck you ever recorded in human history. And it will feel good.
There you go. So I've been telling people this. Of course, the media elites at MSNBC and CNN who are in New York and in LA and on the coast, they have no idea what's going on. When I tell people that, you know, half the country's poor, they're like, what are you talking about? Where do you get that from? Jimmy, where do you get these statistics? I had a journalist from England tweet at me. Where do you get this? I heard you say this. Where do you? I'm like, your Google broken, genius? How about Google half the country's poor in America and see what comes up? About 40 pages of articles that say, hey, half the country's poor in America. You know that half of all workers earn less than 30 of wage earners in America earn less than $30,000 a year. Half of all people who work for a wage earn less than $30,000 in the richest goddamn country the face of the earth has ever seen. And you can say Trump's about racism, and you can say Trump's about ignoramuses. Trump is speaking to a casted a segment of our population that both political parties have turned their backs on. And now, just like he said, they're out of work. They can't afford their health insurance policies. Their car got repossessed. And now you want them to vote for Hillary Clinton while President Obama is passing TPP as we speak? That's what you think? That's going to make things better because Trump. No, Trump is at least saying something that they like, you frickin' morons. These people, these neoliberals who make lots of money and live in their bubbles. They're as dumb as Republicans. The people who write for Mother Jones, like, and people like at the all those people. They're still good people at those places, but the managing, like Joan Walsh and Clara Jeffrey and the guy Jed Lugum, these guys are knucklehead. They're right wingers who have no idea how messed up their country is. They have no idea that the next Trump is going to be even worse, that the next Trump won't be crazy on the outside, so he'll get elected. The geniuses who are telling you to vote for Hillary Clinton gave us Donald Trump. They're so stupid, they don't realize that doing the same thing is going to give us a better Trump, meaning a Trump who's better at being evil. This is a loser. Hillary Clinton's going to privatize Social Security. She already picked Tim Kaine. She's going to put a Republican on the Supreme Court. Everything you guys think you're voting against, you're voting for. Okay. And you guys want to have anything to say about this?
I think it's I'm struck because I'm shocked that Michael Moore came out and said this, that seems he's leaning and supporting Trump because he sees
I don't know if he said
no, but you get that impression in a way.
He's explaining the phenomena of Trump. He's explaining why working people have been screwed over in this country since Bill Clinton, why they would be attracted to a guy who says those things. And it's not racism. So you can't dismiss it. So, of course, the neoliberal elite is going to do it. You know, your Chris Hayes's, your everybody at MSNBC is going to do it. They got rid of Ed Schultz, the one guy who would tell the truth, and Phil Donahue, the other guy who would tell the truth. They got rid of them. But you remember how much the MSNBC anchors all screamed about it? Because they're millionaires. And they don't give a shit. Chris Hayes doesn't give a shit. Rachel Maddow doesn't give a shit. You think Wolf Blitzer or Anderson Cooper gives a shit? Anderson Cooper from the Vanderbilt money? You think he knows what's going on in the country? He doesn't know what's going on in the country. Brian Williams, you think he knows what's going on in the country? All these people make millions and millions of dollars, and they only hang out with other millionaires who think everything is great. And they think Trump's all about racism because they're stupid. Because they're in a bubble. And they don't realize it. And even if they did realize it, they wouldn't give a shit. And they listen to morons who tell you to keep voting for Hillary Clinton because they haven't thought about this for more than a second. And the people on the left who try to smear me like I'm not thinking about this deep enough are the people who've brought us this. These are the geniuses. This is what they brought us. They brought us Trump. They brought us half the country's poor. And you know what their prescription for him is? Hey, vote for more job-killing politicians like Hillary Clinton. Right now, the president's doing the TPP, you frickin' morons. You people who have sold out your own goddamn country for power and to advance your career. To see lefty, I got to tell you, these lefty journos are disgusting. Guys like Matthew Iglesias and Joan Walsh and Clara Jeffrey. They're the worst. They're worse than Sean Hannity.
Additionally, Jimmy, what is worse? You know how you're talking
because
about the media.
Knows Sean Hannity's full of shit.
Yes,
these people on the left are supposed to be. Hey, why don't you just join the Republican Party?
Right.
If you're pro-fracking, pro-war, and you're pro-Wall Street, why not just become a Republican? I don't mind when Republicans say stupid stuff. I mind when people who are supposed to be on the left are usurping their space on the left and giving it to a right-winger. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to remark on the idea that, you know, all the media is suggesting, oh, we gave Trump too much time on television, and they continue to do that. You know,
and they continue to do it.
They continue to say, hey, you know what? We're sorry we talked so much about Trump, but did you hear what he did today?
Let's talk more about him.
And God forbid that they should ever highlight or examine the real issues that Jill Stein is putting forth to make our country better.
No, you can't talk about. No, you can't have a real conversation about Jill Stein. Corporate journalists out in MSNBC, CNN, and everywhere else marginalized her already. You know you can do. Hillary Clinton is experienced and do. You know who else has experience? Hitler had experience. You know who else has experience? George W. Bush has experience. You know what their experience is? Doing the wrong thing. Hillary Clinton's experience is doing the wrong thing at every goddamn turn. Every turn. Every turn. She's done the wrong thing at every goddamn turn. She deregulated Wall Street. She deregulated the telecommunications industry. She gutted welfare. She, NAFTA, the TPP, Libya, the Iraq war. Her experience is horrible. And people who think this is a good idea to vote for her are so wrong. And you're not real lefties. You are propagandists, and the other people who aren't journalists who are saying the same thing have been infected with the propaganda, and now all you do is vomit it up. People telling me, hey, why don't you keep it down about your anti-Hillary stuff? Hey, why don't you get your head out of your ass? Because there's going to be a revolution in the goddamn country. One you don't like, you genius. Keep doing the same thing we've... Bill Clinton, not the lesser of evils. He was the more evil. He did evil stuff that Bob Dole and George Herbert Walker Bush could have never did. Keep voting for neoliberals. Everything's going to be better because we're all idiots.